I've, 21 male, never had much luck with the ladies. I've never been one to hook up, and I had one girlfriend in my life when I was a junior in high school that lasted about 9 months. I've been on Hinge since my friends told me to get back there. I met Sam twice now. We went and got some drinks, then we went on a hike on a nature preserve by my house. One of the things we talked about was her love for these cookies at this local shop by our houses. I agree the cookies are fantastic, and she went on to say it's the best cookie in the world. I was updating my 75-year-old grandma on this situation. We're very close. She tells me to be spontaneous and to surprise her. So I work at a different location on Thursday versus Friday. Thursday, my drive home takes me past the cookie place. Friday, my drive to work takes me past Sam's work. I decided to take my grandma's advice. Thursday night, I picked up a bag of her favourite cookies, and today, on my way to work, I left them on her windshield outside of her work. She told me where she worked, and I recognised the car. I got to work today and told 2 female co-workers about this. They're roughly my age. I think one is 22 and the other is 25. They said, full stop. You gotta go get those cookies, that's extremely creepy. She didn't ask for the cookies, she didn't invite you to show up at her work. You went on 2 dates, that's very weird. She's gonna be creeped out for sure. I told them how my grandma said it was a good idea and a sweet thing to do. They told me that my grandma is old and times have changed. Maybe when consent was less important, it may have been seen as cute, but now it's creepy and intrusive. So now I'm sitting here at work thinking if I need to do a mad dash back to her work and retrieve said cookies. I know she won't be going to her car for lunch for a couple of hours, so I have a little time. You are the idiot. It's more than a little creepy to go to someone's work uninvited with something they mentioned once, figure out which car belongs to them and then leave it there. This will either go over really well and she'll love it, or she will react as your co-workers suggested. A better option would have been to text her this morning that you're planning on grabbing some cookies from that one shop that you both like so much and would be happy to swing by and drop off a few quickly. I don't think there's any way I would eat cookies that have been left out where any passers-by, squirrel or raccoon could have messed with them. I would never eat food left on my car regardless of who put it there. OP, would you? Yeah, no dude. Grandma did not say, leave cookies that could be laced with literally anything as far as this woman knows on a car whose movements you're not supposed to be tracking in the first place. Go get them, text Sam and see if she wants to meet up so you can give them to her and explain your reasoning. At least that's what I'd tell you if I wanted to encourage the continuation of this relationship, because if you honestly don't see the problem here, I'd much rather warn Sam to run. Not the idiot. Dude, you did nothing wrong. Ignore the people screaming red flags. One of my co-workers literally said they called the cops because a fellow student with a crush left a flower on their sister's car. Their first response to a flower left on a car was to alert the authorities. You're good. You should probably let her know, just because depending on the packaging, whether they could be ruined, stolen, or attract animals. But that's not a creepiness issue, just pragmatic. Update. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to text her and let her know. I will probably apologise, say I thought it was a nice thing and was told by co-workers it could be perceived as wrong, so I'm apologising in case it came off that way. Maybe I did something stupid, but to label me a stalker is extreme. I, 36 female, am not close with my family. I live in a different state, so I don't have much contact with them. My brother, 30, got married last weekend and invited me. I told him I'd come and not have a +1. My husband and I recently separated, and after that I found out I was pregnant. Unfortunately, my extended family didn't know about the separation or about the pregnancy. So I'm 7 months pregnant right now and getting a divorce. When I showed up at the wedding, everyone was super shocked to see me pregnant and alone there. A lot of questions followed. I answered them with as little info as possible, and that was it. During the ceremony, the priest mentioned my pregnancy. It's a small town and the priest has been there since I was a kid. To make a joke or whatever about it is next for the bride and groom. Babies. Something like, and after OP's baby, hopefully many more will join this beautiful family of bride and groom. The bride was angry because now everyone knew I was pregnant. During the picture-taking part of the reception, my brother says, "Okay, and now I want a pic with my favourite sister and my first nephew." I laughed and said, "Niece actually," and he was super happy. We took a pic, that's it. The bride came to me later and called me an idiot for upstaging her wedding with not just my pregnancy, but also the baby gender announcement. Her family is obviously on her side. My brother thinks she's acting crazy, and I did nothing wrong, and my parents think I should have informed people I was pregnant before coming to the wedding, and should have kept quiet about gender. Am I really the idiot here? Not the idiot. You can't hide a 7-month pregnancy. Everyone knew it already. All they had to do was look at you. And you didn't announce your baby's gender. You just corrected your brother when he announced it wrong. Seriously, maybe Bridezilla should stipulate on wedding invites that any pregnant guest is not allowed to come. OP, you didn't go in intentionally trying to upstage anyone. The gender comment was just in passing. You would be an idiot if you stood up in the middle of the reception and announced the gender to everyone. I get that it is her day, but your very existence is not taking anything away from her special day. Sorry, I rolled my eyes so hard they got stuck on the backside of my head. Another bride going crazy about not having complete control at her wedding. You told your brother and parents. Were you supposed to call everyone on the guest list? You are not the idiot, but the priest? Yeah, the priest is the idiot of the story. They shouldn't have mentioned the pregnancy in the ceremony. That was way out of line. I wouldn't say he was wrong for mentioning it in the ceremony. Emotionally healthy people don't mind sharing a snippet of the spotlight. They can do so and feel joy at others' accomplishments without feeling their own are being tarnished. However, this attitude that weddings are vehicles for attention and no other topics can be discussed besides the marrying couple speaks to the desperate craving for attention rampant in our society. It's concerning and, frankly, creepy. My wife and I are both 31. After discussing it for months, we decided to get a dog back in September. Our other dog had passed from old age. We went through a shelter, but she was a puppy when we got her, 5 months old. My wife has severe ADHD. This means she gets distracted and sidetracked very easily. Well, our dog Wendy has proven to be slightly more complicated than our last dog. Until about a month ago, my wife was very patient and understanding. After that, however, I think she got burned out. One minute she was great and patient, the next she was just done. See, for some reason, the dog constantly whines. We've brought her to the vet and they can't seem to find anything wrong and suggest we do things we're already doing, dog parks, extra walks to exert energy, etc., thinking she's whining from not being stimulated enough. We bring her to the park twice a day and do numerous walks between, plus we have a 5-acre plot and she runs constantly. We have a behaviouralist who comes twice a week and has been for 4 months, and even he says he's stumped and that she might just be a whiner, whining for no apparent reason. Again, I think my wife just got burnt out. Mix that with how much the dog whines and my wife having ADHD and getting distracted by it, and it's been rough. So she went out on the porch with a book yesterday afternoon, and I went out to do yard work. When I came out, Wendy followed and started whining, per usual. My wife slams her book shut and walks inside. My fault, she said she needed alone time. I happened to forget my shears indoors, so I came back in 5 minutes later and the dog followed, still whining. My wife is sitting at the table with her book. She looks up and says, "I'm trying to read and I can't do that with the whining. I've read the same chapter twice now." I told her I was sorry and went back outdoors. Around dinner, I walked in the kitchen to talk to my wife and the dog was sitting at my feet whining. My wife kept forgetting what she was talking about from being distracted by it and finally snapped and said, "Can you get the damn dog out of here so I can think?" My wife doesn't curse, so I told her she was being dramatic. She stared at me before grabbing her keys and purse. I asked where she was going and she said, "Since I'm already being dramatic, I might as well kick it up a notch. I'm going to my sister's to get a break." I'm being told I'm an idiot because I'm not taking this seriously and should have just put the dog in the other room so we could talk, without the constant whining, which I know is driving my wife insane. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot for driving your wife nuts, knowing that she has ADHD and needs a break, which she communicated to you, then calling her dramatic when she's had enough after you repeatedly ignored her boundaries. Don't just own up to the fact that you shouldn't have called her dramatic, own up to how consistently dismissive you were of her boundaries. In what world would calling someone dramatic be productive? You already knew that she's having issues with the whining, and instead of just going, "Shoot, yeah, dog's annoying, let me put her in the other room," you went aggressive. Not the idiot, and please don't have kids with her. If she can't handle a dog whining, she will never be able to handle a baby crying. Honestly, I think you should rehome the dog, but only if she flips out again. Losing it in front of the dog doesn't make it feel comfortable. My mother-in-law would freak out in front of her dog a lot, and he always looked stressed and awkward, so we took him out of that, and now he's jumping around and actually playing. I agree. It sounds like your wife just really doesn't like Wendy, probably because of the whining. So every little thing the dog does annoys her. Maybe you should find a new home for the dog since it really isn't working out with you guys. It's not good for your wife or the dog. I, 25 male, have shared my apartment with my friend Alex for 4 years. About 2 months ago, Alex asked if I was willing to let a friend of his named Sophie move in with us. I agreed because I plan to make a down payment on a house and move out within 2 years. By having Sophie around, she could take my place and make it so that Alex doesn't have to worry about any increases in expenses. When Sophie moved in, things were good for 2 weeks until I had to leave for work. This was when she learned that I was a minor and left for 2 weeks at a time. When I got back, my problems with her began when she would constantly talk about climate change. She constantly tried to educate us on how and why we should change our habits. The real frustration was when she started going after me and my job. She would constantly say that I would have no job within 10 years. This was accompanied by the ridiculous and false notion that I'm poor and work for minimum wage. To try and help me, she would constantly give me college program pamphlets and job postings to find a better job. The straw that broke the camel's back was when she brought her parents into this. Sophie made her parents think I was poor, resulting in their calling me to discuss financial assistance. After declining their help and ending the call, I was livid. I then sat Sophie down and said that all her talk about my job, finances and education made me angry and to drop it. In response, she said she's just trying to help someone worse off. This is when I snapped at her and told her my salary and proof I make $100,000 per year. Then I flipped the tables on her and went after her degree in environmental justice. I said it was worthless and she might as well start working at McDonald's to pay off her debt, as she would never get a real job. After our argument, we didn't speak with each other until after returning from my next work period. Upon returning this week, she started demanding I pay more for rent as I make more and that I should apologize for what I said to her. I refused and said that if she didn't like me or the arrangements, she was free to leave at any time. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot at all. Ask her why she never offered to pay more rent than you did when she assumed you were basically destitute. Is it only okay to divide rent up based on income when it means other people would pay more than she does? I would like to note that it's interesting how she wants him to pay more rent with his dirty, environmentally harmful money when she was previously parading her moral high horse about. I have an environmental studies degree, and you are not the idiot. And if your roommate had learned anything in college, she'd know this is not how you address environmental issues. More money doesn't mean you cover more bills for people who are housemates. Also, she's bonkers and clearly has nothing going on in her life, which is why she has ample free time to obsess over you. I'd suggest she find a better job and say you're just trying to help someone worse off. My friend and I went out to a bar, and a guy she once worked with came up to us. He decided to join us without asking us if it was okay and started talking about himself endlessly. He spoke about his job and how his fiancée left him 2 years ago, and he couldn't find a girlfriend since then because women only want money. Dude is 34, lives with his father, and works as a waiter, mainly in the summer. My friend tried to console the guy, telling him that it wasn't true and he would find a woman who loved him for himself and didn't care about his lack of money. The guy wasn't having any of it. He kept insisting that women only want money, turned to me, and told me to be honest. I was honestly really annoyed with this guy. I told him that women care about many things, not just money, but money is an essential requirement, especially if someone wants kids. He said he wants 4. In this economy, you need 2 decent incomes if you want your family to live comfortably. I would never date a guy who earns little, but that's just one of the many requirements I have. He said, "Wow, finally, a woman admitted to being a gold digger and asked me if I'm saying he doesn't deserve love unless he's rich." I explained to him again and told him he wasn't entitled to a woman who would give him 4 kids. He needs to be realistic. He can't support himself, plus 2 kids from his salary, and it would be unfair of him to expect his wife to support herself, plus the 4 kids alone, or live in poverty. Guy called me a gold digger again, told me I'm the problem with modern women, and finally left us alone. My friend told me that she was annoyed with him too, but I kicked this guy while he was already down and reinforced his wrong views on women. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. He asked for your honest opinion and you gave it. You shouldn't have asked if you didn't want to hear it. Wanting a partner that can solidly contribute to the relationship, even if not equally, does not make you a gold digger. Sounds like a misogynist on his way to incel. Money doesn't matter to me, but motivation does. Part-time waiter living with his dad. Does not sound hot. I want a partner, not a burden. I wouldn't mind making more than my guy, but he has to be trying. He was projecting and searching for a woman who would agree with his projection. He is the gold digger. He is the one who wants a woman to support him, his 4 children, herself, and probably all his hobbies as well. Probably while she does most of the chores and childcare. He is not your work in progress. It is not your job to change his opinion on women. Your friend is enabling his "I'm the victim" mentality and behavior by pandering to him.